Hello, my name is Brandon Ramacco, and today we're going to talk about the intrinsic muscles of the neck and a test for them and an exercise for them. So the test can be called Jull's test, a flexor endurance test, the craniocervical flexion test. Any of those terms are basically talking about the same thing. They're talking about testing the intrinsic cervical flexors. Now, cervical refers to the cervical spine, which is the neck. Intrinsic or deep muscles refers to the tiny muscles that go sort of segment to segment deep in the neck. They're not these big ones here. They are sort of deep segment to segment. So those are the muscles that we are going to test. If someone's had an injury or they've had chronic neck issues for many, many years, the large muscles can sort of take over and the small muscles end up atrophying. They end up wasting away. It's much easier for the brain to control 3 or 4 large muscles than dozens and dozens of small, tiny muscles. And also these large muscles tend to be sort of splinting muscles that can sort of lock down the neck. And if you've had lots of neck spasms, neck muscle spasms over the years, your brain has gone very good at using those large muscles to lock everything down, and it's forgotten how to use the tiny muscles. Like, why bother using these tiny segmental muscles, and there's dozens of them, when it can just use these big ones and lock things down? So you have to, eventually you'll have to retrain those muscles, build up their endurance, and retrain their coordination. I have another video on how to do neuromuscular re-education, or at least an introduction to neuromuscular re-education of those muscles. But here we're basically testing to see if they're atrophied, if they're weakened, if they've lost their endurance, because if they've weakened and wasted away, when you do these tests, they'll be more difficult than they should be. Now, for doing these tests, I'm going to go to the bedroom at home, because that's likely where you're going to be doing the test. So you can watch me do it on a bed, so that will mirror your own experience. So let's go. Welcome to the bedroom, and we're going to be doing the Jull's test or the flexor endurance test. Now, for a healthy individual, they should be able to do this test for 60 seconds. Average, if you just take an average population, you'll find numbers between 30 to 50 seconds as an average. Now, for someone with chronic neck problems, they will likely fail less than 10 seconds. If you can't do 10 seconds, that's the danger zone. You need to strengthen these muscles. Now, if you can't do 15, 16 seconds, if you can't do less than basically 20 seconds, I would encourage you to strengthen these muscles. But it's not, you have to strengthen these muscles. But if it's less than 20 seconds, that's also abnormal. So I would advise you to strengthen these muscles. This test can also be used as an exercise, where you can do the exercise basically every day unless the muscles are sore, in which case you can skip a day. So you could do it, let's say 2 sets, 5 times 6 every second day. Or maybe you are a little less intense and you just do 5 times 6 every day. Again, skip a day if the muscles are sore. That's just an example, whatever works for you. But you can turn it into an exercise to strengthen the muscles. Before the end of the video, I will give you a few modifications as well that you could use if you have trouble with the version I'm going to show. Okay, so how do you do the test? And of course, I mentioned you can do the test as an exercise as well. So I'm going to put the pillow like this. This is a very thick pillow. If your pillows are very thin, then you can grab a second pillow, sort of stack it. But we're going to place this such that I can put my shoulders on top. Like this, because I want there to be sort of space behind my head. I don't want to sit comfortably on the bed. I want there to be some space. Now, the purpose of the exercise is to try to sort of lift the head just, a centimeter above the surface while keeping the chin tucked tightly. Now, I can easily do this for 60 seconds because I've gone through this. When I had neck problems, I failed at around 3 or 4 seconds. But now I can do this for a longer period of time. I do shake a little bit, but I do have the endurance to hold this for quite a long time. And that's what you should have too. So If you fail right away, well, of course, that's a fail. If you fail less than 10 seconds, that's very bad. Fail less than 20 seconds, that's less than ideal. If your chin comes out and you have to bring your head up here, that's also a fail. It's a fail if you can't hold this tucked position. Because if your chin comes out, you're using different muscles. Of course, that's what your body's going to want to do. It's going to be like, why are you in this position? I can't do this because the muscles are weak. So if you fail or your chin comes out, that's also a fail. As for the exercise, I mentioned you could hold it, let's say, 6 seconds, relax, 6 seconds, relax. If you're so weak, you might end up doing this for 2 seconds, relax, 2 seconds, relax. Instead of a hold, you can do sort of reps up and down, keeping the chin tucked. You're tucking the chin as firmly as possible. You're sort of raising it up and back down, sort of doing crunches with the neck. And that's another version of it. Now, there's one more version that I'll mention for necks that are extremely weak. Instead of doing it lying down where you're working against the full force of gravity, I could do this sort of leaning back against a chair, or even like this, where my shoulders are supported, but I'm not working against the full force of gravity. I'm only working with a fraction of gravity. And again, I can hold this, or I can do little chin nods to try to get those deep muscles working. If your chin is too far forward, you're using the sternocleidomastoid muscles. That's bad. Those muscles aren't the ones you want to exercise. You don't want to use these large ones. Again, if my chin is out like this, I'm using the wrong muscles. My chin has to be way back here, so I end up using the right muscles. And so that's a quick introduction to how to test for the endurance of the deep cervical flexion muscles and how to turn that test into an exercise to hopefully get you out of a pattern of neck pain and tightness. I wish you the best of luck. Cheers.